Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a really interesting situation unfolding in Los Angeles. We're basing this on a source you shared, specifically a CBS Los Angeles report.
That's right.
And the heart of it seems to be this major conflict, right, over the National Guard deployment. And Governor Gavin Newsom saying he plans to sue the Trump administration.
Yeah, exactly. This report gives us a pretty focused look at that specific flashpoint. So for this deep dive, our goal really is to pull out the key facts, the different viewpoints as they're presented in this source, and just grasp the core disagreement. So you can get a handle on what's reported to be happening pretty quickly.
Right. We'll dig into what the report actually says, triggered things, the actions taken, and those really strong reactions from the main players involved. But we're sticking strictly to the details in that report.
Okay. So according to that CBS report, the lead up started Friday. There were these large-scale immigration enforcement operations happening in the area.
And right after that, the weekend. Well, the source describes it as being marked by protests. It mentions sometimes violent clashes between law enforcement and the protesters.
Yeah, and the report, it gives some specifics from the ground, too. Like LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell, he reportedly said at a news conference Sunday evening that 39 people had been arrested.
Okay, 39 arrests. And the report also adds context about those initial operations. Something from ICE.
It includes a statement from an ICE spokesperson. They said their operations led to arresting, quote, a domestic abuser and a child rapist. That's the context provided in the report.
Got it. So that sort of sets the scene for the National Guard coming in.
Exactly. The report states Mr. Trump announced the deployment Saturday night, and it explicitly says it was framed as a response to the protests.
And then Sunday, the troops arrive, downtown Los Angeles, right in the middle of all that unrest described over the weekend.
And the CBS Los Angeles team, according to the report, saw some specific actions. The piece mentions images they captured showing Guard members using what looked like tear gas and also rounds of non-lethal ammunition. This was apparently after a crowd gathered near the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Okay, so tear gas, non-lethal rounds observed. Now, this is where the conflict, as the source presents it, really sharpens these very different views on what happened and why. What does the report say about Mr. Trump's perspective?
Well, the report highlights a couple of things. First, he announced the deployment because of the protests. Second, he reportedly criticized Governor Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass on social media Sunday. And the report quotes him calling the protesters troublemakers and insurrectionists. That's the language attributed to him.
Troublemakers and insurrectionists,
Yep.
okay? And Governor Newsom's reaction, because that seems to be the main focus of this CBS report.
It really is. The report emphasizes that late Sunday, Newsom's office indicated they planned to sue. He apparently tweeted on X, and the report quotes this directly. Donald Trump is putting fuel on this fire. Commandeering a state's National Guard without consulting the governor of that state is illegal and immoral.
Wow.
And he added, California will be taking him to court.
Illegal and immoral. That's really strong, directly challenging the whole basis of the deployment. Did the report mention any follow-up from Newsom?
It did. On Monday morning, the report says, Newsom posted again, stating President Trump illegally acted to federalize the National Guard, and then again, we're suing him.
So the core legal argument then, as presented through Newsom's statements in the report, it hinges on this idea of federalizing or commandeering the Guard without talking to the governor first. That specific lack of consultation is what he's calling illegal.
That seems to be the absolute crux of the planned lawsuit, based on how the report frames Newsom's position. Bypassing the governor, he argues, is illegal. It's an improper federalization. The report also quotes Newsom accusing Mr. Trump of escalating the situation, and he called the deployment itself purposefully inflammatory.
And he didn't just talk, right? He tried to stop it.
Yes. The source mentions Newsom actually requested the federal government rescind the deployment. This was in a letter to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Newsom apparently said there was just no need for the Guard there.
Interesting. But the report does say they talked, Newsom and Trump.
It does mention that, yeah. Newsom's office confirmed they spoke for about 40 minutes on Saturday, but, and this is a key point the report makes, it's unclear if that call happened before or after Trump announced the deployment.
Ah, okay, so that timing uncertainty, as the source points out, just adds another layer to that whole dispute about consultation.
Exactly.
So let's kind of wrap this specific report up. What does this situation, just as detailed here, really highlight for you as someone trying to make sense of it?
Well, what's really fascinating, just sticking purely to the framing in the CBS report, is how clearly it shows the specific legal and political friction point around the National Guard. Governor Newsom's planned lawsuit, as it's described, it directly takes aim at the idea that the federal government can just deploy the Guard domestically without talking to the state first, framing it as illegal commandeering.
Right. It's a very clear example, drawn straight from this report, of a clash over government authority, basically.
Yeah.
Who's in charge in moments of domestic unrest, and what are the rules for using forces like the Guard?
And if we connect this to the bigger picture that the source presents, it really starkly contrasts how the exact same event, this deployment, is described so differently by the leaders involved. You've got one, according to the report, calling protesters insurrectionists, and the other calling the deployment illegal and inflammatory.
And we have to stress we're just relaying the perspective stated in the report. We're not taking sides here.
Absolutely not. It's purely about understanding the information presented in the source material you shared.
Exactly. Understanding the report and the picture it paints.
So maybe a final thought for you to consider, based only on what we've discussed from this report. What questions does this specific incident, as described here, raise for you about that balance, that tug of war between state and federal power when things get tense domestically? And maybe also, how do the specific words leaders choose, the ones quoted in this source, actually shape how we all understand actions like deploying the National Guard?